Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Leadership Talks with L. Wayne Smalls. I am here to talk to you today about some leadership, of course. And as you can tell, I'm coming to you from a remote location today. I am traveling. I'm in the middle of traveling. I am attending a leadership conference. Can you imagine that? I am attending a leadership conference. That is what I do as a part of my continuing education, attending leadership conferences. And I try to attend at least 2 conferences per year. If I can get more than that, I do that, but a minimum of 2 is what I try to do. And that's actually what I encourage people to do when you are a leader. You're developing, you're growing, you want to become better and more effective as a leader. One of the ways that we do that is by attending these conferences, these workshops and everything. So what we do here is talk about all of the things that we gather from our experiences, all of the things that we gather from reading. I talk about reading all the time, talk about just putting those things together in a package that as a leader, we want to continue to pour into people. And the only way that we can do that is if we continue to learn and grow ourselves. So right now, I am attending a leadership conference all week long. And again, I encourage all leaders to go out and find yourself a conference to be a part of. Find a workshop, seminar, anything that will help you with your growth. All right. So today we're going to talk about how important it is for us as leaders to take the things that we're learning and put them into a package. Like I said earlier, put them into a package where we're able to help the people around us to grow and develop. So the first thing I want to talk about is character. A lot of times, you know, we learn about leadership. We take a class, we take a course, we do some type of formal training, and many of those times the one thing that's left out of that training is character. What type of character do you have as a leader? You can do some great and wonderful things and become a very influential person and all of that, and have one lapse of character or make one mistake and destroy everything that you worked so hard to build. Isn't that a shame? Wouldn't it be a shame to spend your entire life building a legacy, working so hard to create something that will leave a lasting impression on this world, just to have it torn down by one act of or lack of character? So that's something that needs to be taught. We need to learn how to become people of character. That is not something that we're all born with. Some of that requires a lot of training, a lot of practice, being able to apply the things that we're learning, whether we take principles from the Bible, whether we take principles from any standard operating procedures from any organization. It requires application. So you can take as many courses as you want. If you're not applying character to those things, those principles that you learn and incorporate into your leadership style, it's going to all be for naught, because you will not have a great foundation on how to be a person of character. We have so many examples of people who have made a mistake or just had that one lapse of character, or they have history of being a person that just make poor decisions and just lack character. But in order to be a true effective leader, we have to have character. We have to be people of good character. Now let me read this quote to you from Miles Monroe. It says that solid character will reflect itself in consistent behavior, while poor character will seek to hide behind deceptive words and actions. So as we know, there are a lot of people that have the gift of gab. They can talk a good game. They sound nice. They're eloquent. They say the right words. They rhyme. They do all of these great things. But are they sticking to their word? Are they people that they tell you something and then they follow through with what they said? Or is it a situation where they say something and then they do something else? So the action of that leader has to match what the leader is saying. And also, if I'm leading and I'm telling people to do something, I should be willing to do it myself. I should be able to do this thing myself, or be willing to do it myself. I should not be asking people to do things that I am not willing to do myself. If I give a person my word, then I need to stick by that. I need to do whatever I say that I'm going to do. That is very important. How many times have you been let down by someone that told you they were going to do something and then they just didn't do it? They didn't follow through. And on top of that, they didn't come back up to you, follow up with you and say, hey, I know I said this, but something came up. I need to change, or can we come up with another plan, or I have to do it this way? I'm sorry. Anything. A lot of times people, they just act like the conversation never took place. And that's not right. So we have to be people of character. We have to work on our character every day. This is something that is practiced over time and developed over time. It does not happen overnight. And some people struggle more with this than others. And I will say this, while we all have weaknesses, for some people, being a person of character is a weakness. And there's no shame in recognizing that you may have a weakness with your character. The shame will come if you do not do anything to try to change it. That's where the shame should come. When you recognize that this is an issue for you and you take the proper actions to correct it, then you're heading in the right direction. We all have things that we need to work on. So being that person that says, you know what, I do struggle with that. And what can I do to become stronger? What can I do to become a better person of character? That's great. And that's what we all need to do. We all need to look ourselves in the mirror every day and say, I have these weaknesses and I need to correct them. The next thing I want to talk about is attitude. What kind of attitude do you have? Are you a positive person? Do you bring positive energy to any location where you are? Do you bring that good vibe where you go? When people see you coming, are they happy to see you? Or do they start taking off and going in different directions? Anything other than staying around you and wanting to be around you? What type of person are you? Are you moody? Or are you level-headed? Are you someone that people are afraid to talk to because they don't know how you're going to react to them? Or are you a person that people feel comfortable coming to you to talk to you? And let me stay here for just a minute, because we just did a show yesterday and we were talking about leaders understanding the importance of being able to recognize when the people that work for us are struggling, people around us are struggling, they're dealing with issues, they're dealing with depression, they're dealing with suicidal thoughts. Now, how sad is it if you're that leader that people just don't want to talk to because you're just a mean, nasty person, but they're dealing with thoughts of suicide? As a leader, if that's you, we can change that, but that's not good. It's not good when you're responsible for the lives and the careers of other people around you, but you don't have a bond with them, you don't have a relationship with them. And don't confuse me. I'm not saying you have to be friends with everybody. I'm saying having relationships with people, and we'll get to that in a minute. But when people don't want to talk to you, therefore they won't share their issues with you, therefore they won't come to you if they have a problem, if they have a need of something, they're not going to come to you. And if you're the leader, then that's terrible. And that's a bad reflection of your leadership, because everything that goes right with the organization starts with you, and everything that goes bad with the organization starts with you. So if you have one person who's struggling, who's dealing with something, and they can't find an outlet and they can't talk to you about it, you're not going to get their best production. You're not going to get the best out of that individual. And because of that, the entire organization is going to suffer. You won't get the best out of your organization because one person on your team or in your group is struggling and you're not even doing anything about it to help them. So be that leader that has that positive mental attitude, that can-do spirit. Okay, that didn't work this way. Let's try something else. We're going to figure it out. We can do this. And check out this quote from W. Clement Stone. It says, there is very little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. Your attitude can determine what type of day you will have. If your day did not start off right, that does not mean that the rest of your day has to be a bad one. You make a decision to say, you know what? My day didn't start well, but I can change that. I can fix that. I don't have to be mad all day. I don't have to be in a bad mood all day. I don't have to let these little things get to me all day long. You have the power to change that. We have the power to change that. And as leaders, we set the example. What we do, people will follow. What we say, people will imitate and copy. And if you're that person that brings that positive energy, that positive can-do spirit, that will be copied. That will be the environment for the rest of the group. That will be the environment for the rest of the team. So we have to watch our attitude. We have to watch the way we, not only the way we treat other people, but the way we handle things, the way we receive information, the way we deal with conflict, the way we deal with the things that are going on around us. People are watching us all the time. So whenever, I apologize for the phone, but we're going to keep this thing going. Whenever we are in a situation where we're the leader, we're the one in charge, we have to make sure that our responses, the way we outwardly take in a problem, the way we take in whatever the situation is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but what I'm saying is our outer appearance, the way we appear to handle a situation, will be copied. It will be followed. It will be repeated. And then we can't get upset with one of our group members, team members, or somebody that works for us. We can't be too upset with them when they respond to a situation the same way we do, when that's the example that we're setting for them. If every time we get some bad news, our first response is to go off, well, guess what? You're going to have a lot of people around you that work for you that go off every time something goes bad. We have to be mindful of that. We have to make sure that we are always setting a good, positive example for the people that follow us. At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. We're training and developing and growing more leaders that are hopefully going to replicate the things that we are teaching them in the examples that we're setting for them. So I challenge you today. If attitude is something that is a weakness for you, having a positive mental attitude about things, if you find yourself getting upset all the time, if you find yourself being bothered by things a lot, and you identify and say, hey, you know what? This is a weakness of mine. This is something that I need to work on. And I'm going to come up with a plan to fix that. If that's you, do what you need to do. And guess what else? If you're struggling, you can ask for help. We all should have our inner circle of people that are around us that we can trust, that we can go to and say, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Can you give me some ideas of what I can do to be better? And I do one better than that. If you really want to know what people think about you, ask them. If you want to know what the public opinion is about you and your leadership style, ask some people. You'll get the answers that you need. They might not be the answers that you want, so be careful. But if you're really serious about growing and developing, ask some questions. Ask some people their opinion and just take it in. Take it for what it's worth. Take notes. It's all about growing and developing here. It's not about ego tripping. It's not about, appearing to be all put together all the time. We all have weaknesses. So we need to just get out of that mindset of, I have to look like I'm perfect, because none of us are. Moving right along. The next thing I want to talk about is relationships. I'll ask you this question. Who do you know that did something just phenomenally great? They did it all by themselves, with no help, with no mentor, with no nothing. They did it all alone, all by themselves, and they accomplished something great. I'll wait. Nobody has done anything great all by themselves. They may be the catalyst. They may be the person out front. They may be that person that was the mastermind to it, the person that had the vision, but they did not do it alone. I guarantee you that. Even in individual sports, there's a team behind that person. There's a team of people behind that person that helped them to get where they are at that point. No matter how great they are, they had some help. That's why relationships are so important. We talk about being strong and being independent and being in a certain place to accomplish a mission, and that's great. But you still cannot be as successful or reach your fullest potential without building relationships with the people that work with you, the people that are around you. You need resources, you need money, you need supplies, you need many things to help you to get from A to Z, and you cannot do it by yourself. And building relationships is that bridge that will get you from the start point to your point of completion. You must build relationships. And again, I didn't say they had to be friendships. I said relationships. So how do you build relationships? As leaders, the responsibility is on us. And I say that over and over again, and I'll keep saying it. It's so important that the leaders understand that we are responsible for initiating those relationships. One of the ways we do that is by articulating our vision, articulating the mission, ensuring that everyone in our group understands exactly what it is that's going on, what the expectations are, what the standards are. Many times we are in organizations where there is a standard, but we don't necessarily know what it is. I myself have been in situations like that where, yeah, there's a standard, but really didn't know quite what that standard was, but then be punished, ridiculed, or humiliated if the standard wasn't met. Or I've seen that happen to other people, which is very unfair. I mean, as a leader, if you put somebody in that position, then that's just bad leadership. How can you expect people to reach a certain standard if you didn't tell them what the standard is, if you didn't articulate that, if you don't know whether or not they even know what your standards are? How can you punish someone or humiliate someone for that? So it's our job to make sure that we train people up to where we want them to be, make sure we get them there, observe them, give feedback, and then we step back and continue to observe. Now, if you do that, and then the standard, once you know the standard can be met, but it is not being met, then you can do corrective training. You can do those evaluations and have those conversations. But we need to make sure our people are getting there with our hand. And by that I mean making sure that I can see that you can reach my standard. I can see that you understand what my expectations are. And then I can back away. Now you might say, well, what does that have to do with relationships? Well, I'm glad you asked, because how can you get a person to a standard without having a relationship? There has to be conversations going on. You have to connect with that person, get to know them, understand what motivates them, understand what can possibly be a hindrance to them in their progress. You have to know those things in order to make sure this person can meet your standard. So there has to be a relationship development process that's going on there. If I can connect and then communicate and then articulate everything that I expect of you as an individual, then we can all be successful. That's the bottom line. We can all be successful because everyone knows what is expected of them and what it takes for them to be successful. And at the end of the day, as a leader, that's my goal. Have all my people be successful. Everybody I can reach, I want them to be successful. Whether I could touch them with my hands or the people that I do touch with my hands go out and touch other people. That's still my influence multiplying itself. That's your influence multiplying itself. So do you want that influence to be positive or negative? I'll leave that up to you to answer, but I want mine to be positive. That will bring about much more success than if it was a negative influence. I'll tell you that much. I've had some bad leaders in my day, and I'm sure many of you have too, have experienced that leader that was just terrible. Didn't know the first thing about leadership, but they had a position. Mistreated people, talked to people any kind of way. And at the end of the day, they were not as successful as they probably would have been if they were different. But I don't know if I can totally blame them. They probably were taught by some other bad leaders. Bad leadership does have a ripple effect. So we have to counter that with the good leadership. Those good leaders, and there are so many good leaders out there that have touched my life, and I pay them back now by doing the same thing for other people, as many people as I can. So that's relationships. The next thing I want to talk about is equipping people. That's what great leaders do. We equip other people to become great leaders as well. And I'll say this until I can't say it anymore. I don't want to develop more followers. I want to develop more leaders. I want people that can go out and be successful and help other people to become successful as well. I don't need people to follow me. I don't need that. If I have people follow me, that's one thing, but I don't need followers. I don't have to have people following me and I feel gratification because I have so many followers. Oh yeah, I got this number of people following me. Oh yeah, look at what I did. Look how many people I got trying to be like me. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be yourself and let some of my influence help you to get where you need to be. But I don't want you to be like me. You need to be what God called you to be. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing what God called me to do. And that might not be your call. So what I do is take the influence that I have and I use that to help people get where they need to be. And as a leader, that should be your goal as well. I don't want a bunch of little mini-me's running around. That's not going to help. We need people that understand what their purpose is. They understand why they're here on earth. They understand what their calling is. And I can help them with that. That's what we do as leaders. That's why we have leadership. That's why we make sure that we continue to grow ourselves so that we can pour into other people. And again, I want to create or develop more leaders, not followers. So equipping people, meaning giving them resources that they need, mentoring other people, helping people to avoid problems and trouble that can be avoided. If I've come through a path and I know what that path is like, then it's my responsibility to turn around and make sure that people that are behind me understand, okay, I went that way, that didn't work. That's a bad road. Don't go that way. Go this way. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm failing those people. As a leader, I'm failing. So from that, I talk about this a lot too. I talk about bridge building leadership. Don't get so far above everybody else that you forget where you came from. And when you become successful or when you're being successful, you have to turn around every now and then and pull somebody else up there with you. And when you're not doing that, that's a leader that can say it's lonely at the top. And you're right, it's lonely at the top because you're not helping people get up there with you. So it will be lonely at the top. But reaching back and helping people to come up to where you are, that's what good leadership is all about. Lifting people up as often as we can. That's our responsibility. So today we talked about character. We want to be people of character. We want to have good character, good reputation. When people say my name, I want there to be a positive note to that, a positive tone, not a negative one, not where you got people to say, well, I know him. I wanted to be, oh yeah, I met him, and man, that was a good dude, and he helped me, and he did this, and he did that. That's what I want. I want to be able to help people and have a good reputation and a good tone behind my name. Talked about attitude, having a positive mental attitude. Your attitude can be the difference between failure or success. Your attitude as a leader can be the difference between someone else's failure or success. So we need to have a positive mental attitude. Talked about the importance of relationships, building those strong relationships where we can accomplish a mission. We're not talking about building friendships, we're talking about building relationships. And sometimes when you're a good person and you care about people, that friendship just kind of comes along with the process. Yeah, you have to draw a line, you have to be aware of the boundaries, but building relationships will help you and your organization get to the next step of where you need to be. Equipping people, helping them get where they need to be. That's what leaders do. That's all I have for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you heard something that was beneficial to you. Look us up on www.lwaynesmalls.com for more information. We'll see you again next week, same time, same channel. You've taken a glimpse into Leader Lifestyle with me, L. Wayne Smalls, and this is Leadership Talks, and we'll see you next time. Take care.